So we're literally taking two specialty groups of people, throwing us into a jar and shaking us up and going like, here's this f***ing thing.
It's not just beer, it's people, it's artists, it's a community.
So I think the makers came about just a conversation we were having about just all the facets of craft brewery, and it's not just the brewers, but there's so many more people involved in that, and wanting to tell that story, from the maltsters to the yeast makers to local bakeries that we work with to coffee shops to you name it. There's so many people that are involved in there, and farmers and people that are growing everything and the crops that we're using. So what we want to kind of highlight is those stories and those people that show like everything that goes into craft beer and the passion that goes in behind it. And so that's how it kind of evolved into, hey, like, this is a great medium, let's tell the story. It's, we always tell the story about beer, and for us that's our main passion, but there's so much more to that. There's so many stories that go into this class here. So that's how the makers came about, and wanted to be able to share all of those stories.
My name's Celine Belchins. I own Valhalla Bakery, Valkyrie Donuts, Freya's Diner in St. Petersburg and Orlando, Florida. So Valhalla Bakery started in 2014. I was a bakery manager for Publix for 10 years. And at some point in time, I just realized that I wanted to kind of go and grow and do my own thing. The idea of Valhalla kind of came about because of my history. I'm a recovered drug addict. I grew up on the street, and my life has just always been about survival and figuring out how to make things work. So when I was looking for what I wanted to do with my life, it was not going to be continue with Publix forever. And so I wanted to start my own thing so I could be more authentic to who I am versus what somebody wanted me to be. Valhalla is Viking heaven. When Vikings go and they die in battle, it's victory or Valhalla. We're all going to die at some point in time, so I'm just going to keep pushing forward and always try to crush it and always try to be better and do better in everything that I do, because I've hit rock bottom before. I can come up from anything. No matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. So I'm not afraid to do things that a lot of people would probably be afraid to do, because I've lost everything I've ever had multiple times. I think that at the end of the day, the ultimate thing for me is the freedom. Because when I worked for Publix, I was, Mrs. Publix. I was 100% whatever they needed me to do, that was what I did. Now, I get to create an environment where my staff have autonomy and they get to be who they're going to be, and they're very welcome to be whoever they want to be. And I'm pretty stoked to be able to create an environment where people are free to be themselves, because even before the pandemic happened, it was really important for that. But now even more so, I think that there's such a cultural shift that's happening during the pandemic for people to stop giving up who they are for a company that you work for. So the fact that I have already created an environment where my employees feel valid, they feel seen, they feel like they can speak how they feel. So the fact that I can pay people a living wage, I can offer health insurance, I can offer paid vacation, I can start to change how the industry treats people from the inside of the industry. Yeah, I absolutely make way less money than I could, but I don't give a f***. And it's not just me living off of the backs of my employees, it's that I can give them something so they're comfortable as well. And I know ethically, I can sleep at night knowing that my staff are okay. When I make cakes, I like to know that cake is gonna be on display at someone's birthday. That I know that I did my best job to get that product so it was aesthetically pleasing and it's delicious, because I know that we are a part of your event. I know that like every slice of that cake, somebody's judging. And every slice of cake that somebody purchases, or every cake that somebody purchases, there's 12 to 15 new potential customers. So if you give somebody something that looks like shit and tastes like crap, you just lost that entire customer base. So every item that we make and we put out has to be visually and beautiful and tasteful. Today we're gonna head over to Bowigens and we're gonna do a tasting over with them, and we're gonna bring a bunch of our bakery items, and it's gonna be really interesting to kind of see the process of how we're taking these baked goods and turning it into a beer, and how we're gonna select those items. So I'm really looking forward to what comes out from that. I think one of the really interesting things about sitting down with people is a lot of times they haven't had a chance to try a lot of our different items. So when I'm bringing in a larger assortment and we're doing a full tasting where that person or people get to try a bunch of different things, it's really interesting to see what people gravitate towards. Like, some people absolutely love peanut butter, so all they want to do is eat that Death Bar, and they're just eyeballing that. They're like, oh my God, this is gonna be so good. And then like the s'mores bar is probably one of my favorite items. So like, that's the thing that I'm really excited for people to try. And our chocolate chip cookies are delicious. So it's really interesting to sit down and do that tasting and have people's creative juices be like, oh wow, this is really cool, or I'm really excited about this thing. And like, they're eating with their eyes because they have this whole vision in front of them, and it's just like, wow, this could be really neat. And then just see what they're really excited to try and the reactions on their faces. All of us have our own internal monologue about how that works. Like, because I've been sober for 20 years, I don't understand how the beer process works. I can't tell you that an Imperial Red Ale existed back when I was a punk rock kid drinking in some shitty dive bar. I have no idea. So the idea that there's all of these really cool different kinds of beers, I don't think those existed, or they were so subculture-y that I could never make those decisions or have the conversations that they're having in their head about it. So it's really interesting to take what we all specialize in and bring it together, because they don't understand pastries, they don't understand how to make that cake and what goes into that, and I don't understand beer. So we're literally taking two specialty groups of people, throwing us into a jar and shaking us up and going like, here's this thing.
My name is Bobby Bowen. I am the co-owner and head brewer of Bowigens Beer Company. You know, for the first time that I brewed my very first beer, I knew that's what we're gonna do. Like, I'm gonna open up a brewery, I'm gonna make beer for a living. And it started down a process from 2010. I think it was like 2009 as I brewed my first home brew, and ever since then it was just, how do I make this dream a reality? And in 2015 we were able to open up our doors. We have our original location in Castleberry, Florida, and we have our secondary location we just opened up in Avalon Park. Castleberry was the one we opened up in 2015 on the 3-barrel system, and as we grew, now we have the one in Longwood as well, our production facility. We do anywhere from 7, 10, 15 barrel batches out of that. We want to do all the cool shit we always want to do, so that's where we're at. I think collaboration is the bedrock of the industry. It's how it got started. It's why I think craft beer is where it's at, because it just had such that camaraderie from the beginning. Everybody understands we're all in the same boat. Let's raise each other up. Let's create something we're all passionate about. That's one of the biggest reasons I'm so excited about the makers is meeting these people, telling these stories, but talking with these people and just taking their passion and blending them together. Like Celine says, just shake it up and just get two creatives in a room and then see what happens. So I think that's kind of the coolest part for me is doing that, meeting these people and just learning about that craft, but then finding a way, how can we blend that? How can I take that knowledge and make my beer even better? Yeah, we met Celine. She came over to the tap room and damn near brought her whole bakery. There was a lot there that day, and I don't have a huge sweet tooth, but everything there was insane. I had to stop eating before we all killed ourselves. It was phenomenal, and the coolest part is just, she's egg-free, dairy-free bakery, but she's getting these flavors and using these new techniques and these unique stuff to make her products. I'm big on peanut butter, so I think her Death Bar was insane. I love that. But we're kind of looking for a challenge as well. So we kind of start narrowing in on that Mocha red velvet cake that she has, and start trying to figure out a way, like, how can we make this in a beer, making it dairy free, which is the traditional way to do a big dessert style beer, especially since we live in Florida, is just lactose. So try to pull off that mocha flavor it's awesome in that red velvet cake. We went to use locally sourced coffee, so we partnered up with Rosso's. I called her up and told her what we were doing and the flavors that I needed, and I need like a mocha kind of flavor, something that's gonna be chocolatey, bold, but also very smooth and not be too overpowering, because in this cake it's there, but it's not the main star of the show, so we need it to be a perfect nuance and balance of that. We started talking with the guys from Riverbend Malt, like a craft maltster up in North Carolina, and talking about the different flavors we wanted to pull off and what we needed. And so we got a lot of different grains from them and started building up this recipe from like a nice Pilsner and Munich base that really gives us a soft, doughy bread character and a little bit of toast, which we were looking for to make this cake flavor in the beer. Again, also lots of oats went into it as well to help with that creamy mouthfeel and really kind of balance out the lack of the lactose in there. And we added in like a nice blend of chocolate with it and an ungodly amount of vanilla beans. We sat there and cut up all these Madagascar vanilla beans and tossed them in the beer and just let it soak until it was that perfect flavor. It was a fun project for us, and the biggest challenge was to make that a dairy-free dessert style beer. And so that at that point in time, once we had that cake, we were tasting it with Celine, we were like, that's it, that's what we want to do. I think that will be the most challenging for us. So that's what we always kind of tend to lean towards, like, how can we challenge ourselves? What can we do to push our limits, make us better brewers, but also, just have some fun with it. That's what it's about. We want to do all the cool shit we want to do, and that's some cool shit, and we did it. I can't wait to share it with everybody.